sword, etc., says Ian. Let's have a word with Preet Kaur Gill, Labour MP for Birmingham Edgbaston. Now, just before 6 o'clock this evening, Preet posted this on social media. To my Labour colleagues, we criticise the Tories for chaos and division, and we cannot now inflict the same on the country ourselves. People are angry and hurt, yes, but turning inwards helps nobody. We have a King's Speech in 2 days. Calm down, unite, and get on with the job. Preet, very good evening. Now, 69 of your colleagues totally disagree with you. What do you say to them tonight?
Look, nobody wants to see the theatrics play out in this way. And what I say to a lot of my colleagues, that they need to have political courage. Yes, we had some very disappointing and difficult set of election results, but that doesn't mean that the country was saying change the leader. They certainly were not. They were saying, we're sending you a strong message about our grievances, and we expect you to get out there, get on with the job, deliver on the mandate that we gave you. Don't forget, there's not an election until 2029. And I say to all my colleagues very respectfully, Keir Starmer won that election and so did they. Nobody is calling for them to go. We've got to have some collective responsibility. This is not the behaviour that I would expect from a party in power.
But I have seen various of your colleagues on the media over the past couple of days tell me about their experiences on the doorstep of what voters were saying to them about Keir Starmer. I mean, Clive Betts, who's not somebody who's one of the usual rebellious suspects, very senior MP, was saying how loathed Keir Starmer is on the doorstep. Now, you will have been on the doorstep in the local elections. I think Reform did quite well in parts of your constituency. You're not going to convince any of those constituents who voted Reform to come back to Labour just by saying, oh, we've got to stick with Nurse for fear of worse.
Look, a lot of things were coming up on the doorstep for me. It was the bins, it was the state of the roads and potholes. Equally, there were some frustrations about, Labour has come in and you've done U-turns, and that's what people were telling me. They weren't saying consistently, we don't like your leader, we don't like Labour, we're never going to vote for you, because actually when they heard on the issue, the things that we were delivering, they were saying, but I've not heard this. And people just don't trust information that they've been given, because there is a lot of disinformation, I have to say. Many people were saying to me, look, Preet, I've seen this online, is it true? And actually trying to give people information about what we are delivering does make a difference. It does shift people's opinions. I mean, in Birmingham, as you know, we've gone from very one-party politics to six-party splits. That just shows you people in this local elections were, airing their frustrations and their grievances by voting different parties, not necessarily on local issues. And so, yes, of course, we've got a challenge to make sure that the country understands what we're for. What is it that we are trying to do? Look, in the context of Birmingham, £1 billion taken away from it for 14 years. In 18 months of a Labour government, we were never going to address decline immediately. It was always going to take time. And so, what I say to my colleagues is have the fight back. Don't, start thinking about change of leadership. That does not achieve anything, because anybody that's going to take over who's in the cabinet, for example, they've got a sense of collective responsibility. Why were they not speaking up? If there's things to fix, come together, let's have a plan, and let's figure out how we're going to do this and give Keir the time and the opportunity to start delivering. Well, the moment, we've had some difficult results, and we have, this change of leader nonsense, I have to say, by some of my colleagues, is really frustrating. I was in, opposition for 8 years, Ian, working really, really hard to make a difference, to change people's lives.
I know, and you were doing a very good job, and then Keir Starmer sacked you. I mean, I'm slightly surprised that you're so loyal to him, given what he did to you. I mean, it goes back to that text I read out just before you came on air, that he can be a very ruthless man and throws his colleagues under the bus at the first sign of gunfire. And yet you're still very loyal to him.
You know what it is, Ian? It's country first. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. It's about the Labour Party. And I care about the position that the country finds it in. We've got a war. We've got real issues coming up around cost of living. We're already seeing it. People are going to feel it even worse in terms of their weekly shop. Keir Starmer is trying to do his level best. I'll always be loyal. It doesn't matter who the leader is or how they've, treated me. And that's why it really upset me to see some of my colleagues who've had the privilege to serve, and they were part of this government. And now that if they were reshuffled or not given a position, the way that they are behaving and talking about change of leader, that is not the way you conduct yourself in politics. You have got to have the fight back. And I will back Keir, because my loyalty fundamentally is to the country who gave us a mandate and to my party.
while you've been speaking, Debbie Abrahams, who is the chair of the DWP Select Committee, senior Labour figure, she's called on Keir Starmer to set out an orderly transition, adding that he should step down in the autumn rather than right now because of concerns about financial markets and also the conflicts in the Middle East. And she says she wants to see Andy Burnham return to Parliament and would support him in a leadership contest. I mean, there comes a point, doesn't there, as Boris Johnson said, when the herd moves and it seems to be almost unstoppable. Do you not fear that we're getting to that point now?
We have 400 MPs, and look, I appreciate that there are many backbenchers coming out and, airing their grievances in public. This is not the way to conduct yourself. As a party, we needed to take some time and take stock of the election results. And humbly respond to the public with a clear plan. We've got the King's Speech in 2 days. None of my colleagues needed to play out this theatrics in the open in the way that they have. And, I don't accept what they are doing, simply blaming Keir, solely for where we're at. It isn't just his issue. There is a cabinet and lots of junior ministers. And I think we need to be holding all of them to account about how do we do politics differently. That's what the Labour Party's got to get across. And how do we tell our story? What you don't do is change leadership. Big organisations don't, suddenly become unstable soon as they get a few, wrong results or difficult, results. As you say, the gilt markets, the markets will react. This is about the economy. And so putting country first is absolutely right. Keir Starmer could have walked away. He could have said, I've had enough of this, and he hasn't.
Okay.
Because you know what? He cares about the country, and colleagues need to get behind him.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Preet Kaur Gill, Labour MP for Birmingham Edgbaston. Number 6.